2023 could spell the end of the Tom Allen era at Indiana. Allen enters his 7th year in Bloomington with just a 30-40 overall record, with only 2 bowl appearances and 0 bowl victories. And after back-to-back losing seasons, the Hoosiers need to show signs of improvement in 2023. And I'm just afraid that's not going to happen. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. Ready to break down everything you need to know about Indiana football heading into this upcoming college football season. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. If you want guaranteed winnings, a guaranteed winning record, unbiased predictions, transparency, everything you need from a handicapper, this is the place for you. We can guarantee a winning record, and we can guarantee money right back in your pocket, beating out over 80% of the national handicappers each of the last 5 years. Go sign up for that today over on thegridironexpert.com. Check out our Patreon account for exclusive college football content year-round, including our Patreon Wall of Fame. And send us some gear. We'd love to get some Hoosier gear up here at the Gridiron Expert, or whoever your team may be. Send us some gear to our mailing address as we continue to expand our GE Nation from coast to coast. So let's take a look at Indiana. The Hoosiers have gone through, they had that really magical 2020 COVID season. Went like 7-2, almost took down Ohio State. It was a heck of a year for the Hoosiers. And then it just hasn't been the same since. Won 2 games in 2021, went 4-8 last year, and it very well could have been like a 1-11 season. They had a controversial win over Illinois. They had to beat Western Kentucky in overtime, and they needed a 17-point second-half comeback against Michigan State just to beat the Spartans in double overtime. Very well could have lost all 3 of those games and gone 1-11, but instead they went 4-8. But now they lose a lot. This is a young team, kind of built together by transfers. They lost 30 seniors and a handful of other key players from last year. They bring in 25 transfers and just have 8 returning starters. This is the least experienced team in the Big Ten, and they could struggle. Offensively, you take a look, 5 starters back, just 23.3 points per game in 2022. Taven Jackson, more than likely going to get the nod at quarterback, transferring in from Tennessee, has 4 career pass attempts. Dexter Williams looked good last year for Indiana, but then tore his ACL towards the end of the year. And if he is fully ready to go, might not be until a couple weeks into the season. Showed some talent, but right now Jackson more than likely going to get that nod. They do lose, unfortunately, Sean Shivers at running back. They do bring back 3 of their top 4 pass catchers, led by Cam Camper, who had 569 yards last year. So that's a plus if they can build that chemistry quickly with Jackson. But there's a lot of glaring holes and questions on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively for Indiana, only 3 starters are back. Allowed 34 points per game last year, 175 rushing yards per game, 274 passing yards per game. Neither mark extremely good. They bring in 16 transfers. 16 transfers on defense. One of the big ones is Andre Carter on the defensive line, coming in from Western Michigan. Their leading tackler, and Aaron Casey, does return at linebacker, and they bring in 5 players transferring in to the secondary. So that's going to be a huge mark there. They've got to find out a way to stop the run. Passing defense was no better, and they're praying that those 5 transfers, 3 of which are from Power 5 programs, can fix that and fix it relatively quickly. That's what the transfer portal's about now. It's coming in, and who can make immediate impact, who can create this quick fix. Could that be the case for Indiana? Take a look at their schedule. I can tell you right now, they're not winning their first game. They are not beating Ohio State in week 1. They fell to the Buckeyes 56-14. Obviously, there's such a major talent discrepancy, so they're not beating the Buckeyes there. They will beat Indiana State in week 2, so they're 1-1. Then they go to take on Louisville in Indianapolis, which is an interesting place to play this game. Intriguing game for sure. Interesting, too, that they're playing Jeff Brom, who was the head coach at Purdue. Obviously, Indiana and Purdue major rivals, so Jeff Brom still can't escape the Hoosiers. But his Louisville Cardinals will beat Indiana, and I feel very confident about that. The Cardinals are a sneaky good team in the ACC this year. Brom inherits a pretty decent situation. He's obviously a fantastic coach. Brings in Jack Plummer, transferring into the Louisville program, pretty solid at quarterback. The offense, no slouch. This defense is going to be phenomenal. 7 starters back, allowed under 20 points per game last year, racked up 50 sacks in 2022. I just don't see this Indiana offense. It's so young and so inexperienced, having much success against this Louisville defense, despite it being at a neutral site. So I think they fall to Louisville. I do think they beat Akron, 2nd win of the year, and then it's conference games from there on out. How does Indiana fare in conference play? Well, you take a look at that. You take a look at who they play. Obviously, being in the Big Ten East is tough enough as it is. You're playing Ohio State. You're playing Michigan, Penn State, guys like that. Out of the West, oh, congratulations. You get to play Wisconsin, and you get to play Illinois, and of course you play Purdue. So two of the better teams in the Big Ten West. Starts off the big conference slate at Maryland. They will fall to the Terrapins. They lost 38-33 last year. Closer game than some would expect. Really, it was. But Maryland, a much better team this year. Wasn't a bad team last year. Much better team this year. Talia talking about Loa returning. Again, the running back core, very solid. Wide receiver core solid as their top two pass catchers return. The defense has a couple question marks, but arguably could be the best defense of the Mike Locksley era, some could say. This is an experienced Maryland team, except for the battle in the trenches, but that's one that I don't think Indiana is going to really exploit or dominate. The game on the road, Maryland should win, and win it a little bit more comfortably than that 5-point win last year. Indiana now 2-3. Coming out of the bye week, no doubt they lose to Michigan. Lost by 21 points last year. Michigan, the Big Ten favorites, and it's in Ann Arbor at the Big House. Then they play Rutgers. Winnable game, right? Winnable game in Bloomington, no doubt about it. But Indiana has not played well against the Scarlet Knights these last few years. They fell to Rutgers 24-17 last year, led 14-0, but then allowed 24 unanswered points to trail 24-14. Late field goal made it a touchdown game. Then 2 years ago in Bloomington, they fell 38-3 to the Scarlet Knights. And I'm telling you guys, I'm not saying Rutgers, they're world beaters in 2023. I'm not saying that by any means. But Greg Schiano has slowly put the pieces together to make Rutgers a much more competitive program. They've got a dangerous young quarterback in Gavin Wimsatt, a lot of talent around him offensively. This is the Rutgers team that, sometimes struggle to put points on the board, but they can rack up the yards. This year, they do both. 8 starters back on defense. That's strong and such a veteran defense against this questionable Indiana offense. I think Rutgers comes on the road and beats Indiana. I genuinely do. I think the Scarlet Knights own the edge in just about every aspect here except for home field advantage. And I think the Scarlet Knights take advantage of it, get their third straight win over the Hoosiers. So Indiana now drops another game, their third straight. They'll certainly fall to Penn State. They're not beating Penn State in Happy Valley, not a shot. They've lost 69-14 the last 2 years. They upset Penn State in that opener back in 2020. Since then, gotten blown out in both of the last 2 meetings. Penn State, I think, still a little upset about that controversial ending as well. They'll follow Wisconsin out of the West, one of the best teams in the Big Ten West, arguably the Big Ten West favorite. If you're Indiana, you're in trouble in this game, right? You can't stop the run. Well, they've got Braylon Allen. You can't stop the pass. Well, now Wisconsin's actually going to pass the ball more with Tanner Mordecai. So you stop one, you can't stop the other. Wisconsin's actually got a balanced attack offensively this year. Luke Fickell going to do really, really good things his first year in Madison. Indiana struggles to slow down Wisconsin. They lose that game. They get blown out, I think, at Illinois, an Illinois team that's going to be way too physical for this young Indiana team. Still, an Indiana team that's kind of been thrown together with not many starters coming back and just thrown together with so many transfers coming in. Illinois in Champaign, Brett Bielema's done a phenomenal job kind of rebuilding this program, and I think they shouldn't have any issue. Also, a revenge game for Illinois after their controversial ending last year. So they get the loss there. Obviously, Indiana's out of bowl contention. That happened a couple of weeks ago. They take on Michigan State on Senior Day. Another winnable game for sure. Last year, Indiana surprised a lot of people. Had nothing really to play for. Went into East Lansing, trailed 31-14 in the second half. Might as well just have checked out. They didn't. Came all the way back and beat the Spartans 39-31 in double overtime. So a wild, wild game late in the year in 2022. But I just can't pick the Hoosiers to beat the Spartans. I don't think either team's going to be that good this year. And I question Michigan State's offense. No Peyton Thorne. They lose their top 2 pass catchers. How well does Noah Kim play at quarterback, kind of getting ushered into that a little quicker than some expected. The defense still has a lot of questions. If Indiana's offense is even a little bit better than we expect, they could put up some points on the Spartans. I really believe that. But across the board, I do think Michigan State is the better team and very well could have something more to play for here than Indiana if they're certainly fighting for a bowl berth. So I think Michigan State steals one in Bloomington. And then the season finale, the battle of the Old Oaken Bucket, Indiana falls to the Boilermakers. They lost 30-16 to their rival last year, lost 44-7 in 2021, the last time they went to West Lafayette. I know Purdue's got a new coach in Ryan Walters. They're not going to have Jeff Brom anymore. They don't have Aiden O'Connell. Obviously, this is a Purdue team that's going to go through a lot of growing pains as well, and really neither team may have anything to play for other than the trophy and bragging rights, which is really all you need during rivalry week. But Purdue, across the board, to me, is the better team. They've got a much better offense. I love the Hudson Card at quarterback. I love Graham Harrell's the offensive coordinator. Ryan Walters is one of the better defensive minds in the game right now. He'll get Purdue back to relevancy sooner rather than later. And with that, we have Indiana finishing the year at 2-10. That, probably is about right. Indiana State and Akron, I feel, are pretty good victories. Maybe they beat Rutgers. Maybe they beat Michigan State. I think at the max, Indiana can match last year's win total and go 4-8. So I would say probably the floor is 2-10. The ceiling is 4-8. I would be shocked if they exceeded 4 wins this year. It's just a kind of a thrown together team that really hasn't looked good the last 2 years, and there's no reason for any of us to believe they're going to be looking good this year. It's going to be a rough go-round for Tom Allen in his 7th year in Bloomington, and I do believe this, unfortunately, will be his last year with the Hoosiers. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Check out our Patreon account for exclusive college football content year-round, and of course, our mailing address. Send us some gear, whether it's some Indiana gear or whoever your team may be. Send it to our mailing address down in the description below to be featured in every single Gridiron Expert video as we expand our GE Nation from coast to coast. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.